What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Deposit That podcast. The first few episodes have been great, and we're looking to build on the foundation set on episodes 1 and 2. Today, I'm sitting here with one of the guys that every time I see his name come across my phone first, I always bring a smile because I know it's strictly business, right to the point, no time wasted, efficient, and it's one of the absolute gentlemen that I know I've had the pleasure of working with since he first started in his career on his own in both real estate and entrepreneurship. Let's everybody welcome Alex, right? Alex, welcome to the show today.
Jeff, thank you for having me.
It's super cool, not only because it's my podcast, but it's your first time on a podcast.
That's right.
The first time for everything.
First time for everything.
I'm glad to experience it with you.
Likewise.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you started, where you grew up, your home life, and then how you got into the business.
Got it. So you guys know I'm Alex Wright. I grew up in New York. You know, it was me and my mom growing up, single family home. She was a teacher. So pretty much, she did everything for me, mother and father. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always had that spirit in me. Ever since I was 12, 13, 14, I'd be working, if it's odd jobs, or working at the supermarket or whatever I could do, to better myself and make money at that age.
I think that's super important to touch on that real quick. So as you're talking, I'm going to interject, right? Odd end jobs, right? I look at that as people who want to succeed that are true entrepreneurs because they'll do whatever job it takes to get the job done or get paid, right?
Of course, and especially when you don't have that much opportunity, like nobody's, saying, oh, I have this internship or that. It's just me and my mom. I didn't have those kind of connections. So basically I was willing to take, whatever was available at the time, if it was a minimum wage job or whatever I had to do to just get to the next level.
Yeah, so again, knowing you, I know that everything you do with purpose and you do it with pride. You make sure it's done the right way, and not to be confused with your last name, which is Wright with a W, but that's one thing that I've always respected you for.
I mean, that's one of the keys to success. I don't do it for the money. I do it for the success, and the money's a byproduct of, being successful. So I always do it, to be the best and to be successful.
Okay, so you do your odd end jobs, 12, 13, 14 years old, then what?
Kept on doing that, till I was 15, 16, 17. And then by that point, I had, saved up a good amount of money. And then I was looking, to buy a building because I always knew I wanted to own something. And what better to own than a building, right? Real estate. So I looked in New Jersey, New York. Already it was too expensive. I probably had saved around $50,000. So
now, how old are you at this point?
Around 19, 20.
Okay.
And
it's about 10 years ago.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And I was looking for the next closest, market where I could, buy a piece of real estate and get started. So
not with $1 million either.
No, 50,000. So I looked all around, and then I happened on Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour, 20-minute drive, right outside of New York City. Went out there, took a look around the city. I mean, I saw it was growing, hustling, bustling place. Probably got a population there of 120, 130,000 people. And you could obviously see it was like a city. It's the third largest city in Pennsylvania. You have Philly, Pittsburgh, and then Allentown. And this place, it was just, hurting. You could see that.
It was depressed.
Yeah, it wasn't the place it was, 20, 30 years ago when Hess's was there, and all the anchor stores.
But it had good bones.
Had good bones, exactly what I was looking for. So wherever there's, chaos, there's always opportunity, So when I saw this place, I said, wow, I can buy this building for this amount of money and it's all mine.
50 G's?
50,000. I can buy a beautiful brick building. Well, not beautiful. It was pretty dilapidated.
A brick building. Could be beautiful.
With white coat all over. Yeah. But I said, wow, there's a restaurant on the bottom, an apartment above.
And it was vacant or it was full at the time?
There was a gentleman at the time who was running the restaurant, but he was struggling.
Not paying rent?
Yeah, he was. He owned the building, actually. Oh. But he was falling behind in his mortgage payments. The bank was going to take it. So, I took a look at it. And it's funny, I actually brought my mom to look at the building with me, So
gotta get mom's approval.
Always. Mom knows best,
Yeah.
So I was looking at it, and I was like, wow, this is cool, I could actually do this. So bought the building.
Now, when you went there, did you go there with the intentions and confidence of knowing you could do it, or you went there almost just to kind of see what was out there, truthfully?
I mean, I know I could do anything I put my mind to, but, once I saw that I could buy all that, for $50,000, I said, wow. And this is a city, the third largest city in PA. I said, this is the time and the place to do it.
So walk me through this. So the property was actually how much for sale?
It was probably around like 60, 70, 80 they were asking.
And what did you actually acquire it for your first property?
50,000.
50,000.
Yeah,
So you bought it cash,
cash.
then left you with no money in the bank.
No money. I mean, yeah, no money in the bank pretty much. I put
Right.
everything into the building, you know.
Now, once you put everything into the building, what did you do? You obviously got that tenant out. You kept the restaurant tenant.
I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
Jeff, I knew
Early
nothing.
on.
I
Talking
knew
about early
nothing
on.
about construction.
That's what we want to know. We want to know about the early on.
I'm like 20, 21 years old. I know nothing about construction. You know, I'm here pretty much alone. You know, my mom was still teaching at the time, so she'd come down on the weekends, you know, just show me a little, you know, support. But basically, I mean, I was living in the building, sleeping on the floor, and it took me 3 years to get that renovated. And
3 years, 36 months.
Yeah, fast forward now, I mean,
How quick would you do that now? 24 hours?
I mean,
Shorter?
I have my own crew and everything,
Yeah,
but to flip a build, well, we renovate it and hold it in rent, but you know, to get that done now, a month, 2 months, because I have
So-
the crew, I have everything.
So you're telling me you took a 36-month process from your first time and you've streamlined it down to 1 month.
Of course, brother, we do this to get
That's
better.
like 96.5% more efficient.
We do this to get better, man.
So when you were sleeping on the floor, head on the ground,
Yeah.
what?
I had an Arrow mattress,
Okay.
so I wasn't exactly on the
Did you
floor.
fill it up with the air or you just had the mattress with no air?
I filled it up with the
You
air.
blew it up, man? You had a little hose to plug it in.
Nah, we were able to plug it in. It has electric power.
The pump.
Exactly.
So I guess my question to you is, what were the negative thoughts that went through your head while you were sleeping on the floor and knowing that you had a 30-something plus month project probably ahead of you?
Negative
truthfully.
thoughts. I mean, to be honest,
Not moving fast enough.
I loved what I was doing, and it was a struggle, you know, because sometimes I didn't have the money to pay contractors. You know, at that point, I was still working,
Sure,
you know, side jobs
sure,
to support
sure.
the real estate. So, you know, finding contractors, you know, knowing the right processes,
You almost enjoyed the struggle.
I embraced it. You know, I guess the only thing that when I was there alone, like, I was like, fuck. I mean, this sucks. Everybody's going out having a good time. I'm here sleeping on the floor, you know, fixing this building
Not
up.
partying, not taking shots.
Exactly.
Yep.
But I knew in my head that it's what it takes to get ahead, you know, and that's what I've been doing my whole life.
So talk a little bit about the opportunity that you have with Soho Lofts, Cast Iron Lofts, and how that, I don't want to say propelled you forward, but how that gave you the hands-on experience of handling business, because I look at you as corporate 9 to 5 gentleman, hard worker, handyman, super, but entrepreneur, real estate developer. So like not only did you do whatever it took, right? You used a 9 to 5, full-time, maybe even 24/7 opportunity that you were given to propel yourself forward and really catapult you into your career.
Exactly. So I've been with Manhattan Building Company now about 4 to 5 years, and I started in real estate on my own about 8 years ago now. So you asked me, Jeff, well, what are the benefits of you know working?
Yeah, you used a full-time job and experience for your own benefit. Not only did you get a paycheck and a nice apartment to live in, a beautiful building with New York City views, but you used that. You got paid basically to train to do what you really wanted to do.
So basically, the owner of the company, Manhattan Building Company, Sanford Weiss, he found out, you know, what I was doing on my own, and he was in a point where he was reorganizing the whole company. This is 2012, 13.
Yeah, right when we first met.
Cast Iron Lofts 1 was being finished up, found out what I was doing on my own, and he was reorganizing everything. And he called me out of the blue. He said, look, you know, I want you to meet me in Florida at my house. You know, I'm reorganizing the company. I think you can help me out. So fast forward now to 2019. I've been with them ever since, and now I'm running, you know, all the jobs pretty much going on. We have 1,000 units going on at Emerson. It's going to be called Emerson Lofts at the old Stacko factory. But basically, starting on my own 8 years ago and then working for a big real estate development construction company.
Well, he's done almost $1 billion of construction, if not more, right?
There's $1 billion of construction going on in all Jersey City.
Yeah.
But basically, I guess being able to work for that large company, I saw, you know, the processes and the way things work, you know. Because mind you, when I first started on my own, Jeff, I was doing, you know, single family homes, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's how you got to start. You got to start from the bottom. You got to know all the processes, you know, to do this at a really high
Zoning
level.
laws, fire alarms, sprinkler systems.
Exactly. That way nobody, you know.
Buildings department.
100%. So working for that larger company while I was still doing my thing on my own, I was able to see the processes. Okay, you got to go to planning. You have to, get your architecturals done. You got to, have the right legal team. You got to have the right construction team. So basically, I was able to look at everything I was doing and look at this, not a huge company, pretty
Big.
small company
Yeah,
for $1 billion
yeah,
in construction.
sure.
But I was able to look at that and say, wow, this is what I want to grow my own company into one day. This is the ultimate vision. You want to start at single family homes, 2-3 units, then eventually you want to be building, beautiful 150, 200, 300 unit, luxury apartment buildings. So I was able to see where I could take it to, and that helped my vision grow, and I've been executing on it ever since.
Now, 5 years ago when we first met, if you remember, you were looking to buy more properties. Obviously, I got referred to you by a girl from Manhattan, actually, was a realtor that had known you. She worked for White Curtain in Jersey at the time. I think you were trying to buy something in Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. That's how we originally met.
Yeah.
Patricia Lamb was her name.
Patricia
Yep.
Lamb, I remember.
And then we met, and I remember I came to your place on a Saturday. If you
Yep.
remember, I think your girlfriend at the time was
Yeah.
there. Ex-girlfriend, ex,
Yeah. She's
10
good,
ex-girlfriend.
though. She's good.
Yeah, good
She
people.
actually, she still works for my company
Oh, no
today.
kidding.
Good person, very
Keep it in
good
the house.
person, yeah.
It came down Saturday, and we just hit it off day one. There was a mutual respect, a mutual understanding. We were both, 5 years ago, we were both like mid-20s, right? We were like, wow, we both saw something in each other, right? I know I saw that in you. What do you believe was the catalyst for yourself, right, to put your trust in me to help you facilitate certain financing and hard money loans, right, for someone who's 25 when you have connections all throughout the industry?
I mean, I'm
Truthfully.
not gonna lie, Jeff. When I first met you, I felt the energy, I felt the vibes. I'm like, wow, this is a young guy like me. He's doing it. He knows how to network. He knows the right people. And to be honest, Jeff, at that point, I don't even think I'd gotten a mortgage yet.
You hadn't. Yeah, you
I
hadn't.
don't even think so.
You hadn't.
So I didn't really have that many options.
Right.
I was just getting started in the business. So we met up. You had this great energy, great vibes, and I said, okay, let's do it. And then, we did some deals together, and we've, been together ever since doing stuff.
Talk about how hard money actually
Works.
Yeah, I mean, because people will say, "Oh, I don't want to do hard money. I don't do hard money. I don't do hard money," and I'm like, "Well, for the right person." And there are times, full disclosure, where I've said to you, "Dude, you don't need hard money here. Let's go down the conventional route." You're like, no, I don't want the hassle. I don't want the appraisal. I don't want the red tape. I don't want to submit the paperwork. I want to borrow money at 12 and 2 or 10 and 2, 10% and 2 points, 12% and 2 points, right, from the lender. Because it's ease, and I know I'm going to make $100,000 from paying the extra $2,000-3,000 in interest.
So basically what we did was, I had 1 or 2 properties I was looking at that I knew were a great deal. I didn't have the cash, but what I did have were properties that I owned free and clear.
And a great name.
That too. And that was my bank. So I said, I need to acquire these properties. It's the right deal. I need to do it. So called you, said, okay, Alex, I got this guy I know, he's a hard money lender, explained it to me. And basically what it was is, it's very simple. Maybe let's say I own 2 properties, 3 properties, and I tell him I need $150,000 to make this purchase. He'll say, okay, I'll give you the $150,000. I want to use those 2 properties they own free and clear
As collateral. Yep.
$75,000 on each building. What's it called?
Cross collateralized blanket mortgage.
Yeah, blanket mortgage on $75,000, and then that way, the lender feels comfortable lending the $150,000 because they have the 2 properties, just in case anything were to go wrong.
Yep.
Even though nothing, happened, everything goes good.
Yep.
So you're able to get that money, and then you're able to purchase the property. Mind you, the rates, it's not 4 or 5%.
Correct.
But I feel very confident in knowing that this is the right deal I have lined up. So I'm more than willing to pay the 10%. It's, easy. It's quick, because in this business, timing's everything.
Right.
Your timing is everything.
And
Time
technically
is money.
closing all cash is
Correct.
huge in your offer.
So once you showed me that route, showed me the details, he said, okay.
Did it a couple times.
Yeah, we did it a bunch of times, and every time super successful. The lender was happy. They made great returns.
You paid on time, paid them off, everything.
They made
everything
great
worked
returns,
out.
12, 13%, paid them every month like clockwork.
Yep.
I got the property that I wanted, still own them today, free and clear now, and they're producing income. But the hard money loan basically enabled me to purchase the property in a timely fashion, without having to go the traditional bank route.
So, as an investor, as somebody who is a negotiator, deal guy, how do you analyze a deal? How do you underwrite your deal? And how do you look at the future use of a deal? Because I look at you as like, man, if I was playing Monopoly with you, I'd get my ass kicked every time.
I used to love Monopoly.
But
growing
listen,
up as a kid.
you would have to come back to me for the money. You might win Monopoly, but I'm lending you the money, right? So you're playing Monopoly in real life, legitimately. And I know when every time we speak and you're strategizing, buying properties, you're like, listen, I bought properties 1, 2, 5, and 6. I really need 3 and 4, but 3 and 4 is a supermarket. If I get the supermarket, I'm gonna be able to put up 900 units opposed to 200
Exactly.
units. Like, how do you analyze these deals, and how do you go in and negotiate?
I'll be honest with you, Jeff. When I go into the area, first of all, I only deal in Allentown, and Jersey City, working for Manhattan.
Focus on what? On what you know.
I like to be the sharpshooter of my market. I'm not a guy that's gonna
Sharpshooter, I
run
like
around buying properties.
Yeah, buying
in Miami.
Tennessee, buying Oklahoma.
Exactly. No.
Yeah. Focus.
I've been in Allentown 7 years,
Yep.
and I know that market like the back of my hand. I know every block, every house, every street corner, and I like to stick to one place so I can know everything and do it well. It takes time to come into an area and learn
Absolutely.
the politics, learn the
Key
market.
players, everything.
Exactly.
Trends.
So basically, I stuck to that area, and I still stick to it to this day because I believe in it. But that way, I can be super focused and be successful. But you asked me, how do I know it's the right deal? I mean, when I go and look at the property, one, I just feel it in my gut. I feel it in
Instantly.
my bones. Like, hey, this is a winner, or this is, it's not so hot, it's not worth it. I look at that. Another thing I look at is, another gauge for me is, I don't buy anywhere I wouldn't live.
Interesting.
I like to buy where I know I feel comfortable
Worst case scenario, having
living.
living.
Exactly.
Have you ever passed on a deal that you regret? Like, I don't like this because of this, and the next thing you know, you find
No, I've been pretty, successful, and
I mean, you
for
have
the most
with
part.
20 buildings now. There's not many deals you could have passed on if you have 20 buildings by age 30, right?
yeah.
How many deals could you have passed on?
True. I mean, for the most part, I've been, really successful with all these deals, and everything's, turned out good, knock on wood. But, my boss always likes to say, at Manhattan Building Company, he likes to say, Alex, the best deal I did was the deal I never did.
Correct. I tell you all the time. Sometimes the best deal is no deal. Truthfully.
But knock on wood, all the deals I've done, to date, the deals we've done together, they've all been super successful. And I mean, we're here today talking.
So how do you negotiate, right? So I'm assuming you've bought properties direct from another human.
Of course.
You've bought properties maybe at auction, maybe a short sale, maybe a foreclosure, maybe from a bank. So walk me through how you actually negotiate with the seller. So what's your secret?
Just tell him what I want to do.
That's
just straight up. Okay.
Flat out.
If he's asking, I don't know, maybe 140 for the property,
I'll give you 20.
but I'm not
I know your
that cold.
negotiation.
I'm not that cold, Jeff. I know maybe it's worth like 70, 80.
Yeah.
All right, this is what I'm willing to pay, and see if we can do something.
Now, do you put your offer out there, let it sit, and not follow up, or do you say, "Hey, listen, I gave you 70,000," and then a week later follow up, 2 weeks later follow up, 3 weeks later follow up? What's your strategy on that?
It depends on the person. I can't say I have one strategy for everybody. It depends on the feel of the deal, and who I'm dealing with. But I just take it on a case-by-case basis, to be honest with you.
Let's talk about tenants,
Mhm.
right? What's your personal process on screening tenants?
Okay. Well, first of all, we do everything in-house.
Everything.
We have our own in-house management, our own in-house construction, and that's one thing in this business that I learned you have to do.
Or else you're getting robbed.
One, most likely you're getting robbed, and two, you don't know the quality of the work because you're not controlling it. Let's say I have a rental property, right, and the tenant calls me there's a leak, but I'm not there. I can't fix it, so I got to call some management company. It's $200 just to come out. It's another $150 an hour. Maybe it's just a small leak behind under the sink.
$20.
A PEX connection came undone. You're in another state.
Now you're at 370.
This guy's over there,
Yep.
taking 3-4
Yep,
hours
yep,
to
yep,
fix
yep.
something that takes 20 minutes.
Yeah, grand.
And how would you know?
You won't.
So that, I've always had my own in-house management and own in-house construction out of the fact that I didn't have the money, to pay
had to do it
somebody
yourself.
$200. I had to do it
You can't.
myself. And that's why, starting from the bottom and learning the business from the ground up is the best way, because then you learn all the angles. Nobody can really fool you,
What's your opinion on the market in general from what you're seeing trend-wise? Obviously, Jersey City, now I'm going to give an overall macro view,
Mhm.
right? Jersey City, affluent, New Yorkers are moving in, they're coming full force, Wall Street guys. millennials who are making some money, think they're, all trying to keep up with the Joneses, if you will. Then you got to Allentown, Pennsylvania. What's that demographic like? And do you believe that as this area, Jersey City, Hoboken, Manhattan, gets so much more expensive, the cost of living keeps going up, that Allentown is going to benefit even more so from that?
Oh, 100%. As the rents in Jersey City,
They're through the roof.
go to 4 or 5,000. You have a whole, class of, teachers, middle class people that these rents,
Even retirees.
exactly. So the next closest city, that's happening, and stuff's happening is Allentown. So I think there's a lot of good things coming down the pike for that city. There's a lot of loft buildings going up now.
Have you basically taken Jersey City style and picked it up and put it in Allentown? Is that your
pretty
goal?
much with the Allentown flavor and Allentown style, but we're trying.
Allentown lofts?
What I want to
A-Town lofts.
What I want to do is bring the quality,
Yeah.
of building and design out there that I think the people deserve. I remember in Hoboken, the first elevator building probably went in the late 80s.
Skyline Loft? Was it
Skyline
that
Loft.
That was
That actually, the boss of my
It was,
company,
right?
he
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
first
Yeah.
one
Yep.
to put that
Yep.
building up.
Yep.
And before that, it was just all walk-ups,
Yep.
And what he explained to me, he said, Alex, without elevator buildings, it's hard, to get a...
pain in the butt.
Exactly.
Yeah, 'cause as you go up, the demographic decreases.
So
90-year-olds can't walk up.
100%. So pretty much in Allentown, J.B. Riley started it, I think, in 2011. The NIS came into effect, and he started building, apartment buildings and office buildings. He's been very successful. He's still building, but that really kickstarted it, and I was there already before that started, but I got the 22-unit project going on Riverview Lofts. With the momentum that he has and that I have, and there's probably going to be one or two other, builders
Sure.
doing some stuff out there. I think it's only a matter of time, before that area really sees, what it's capable of and what it deserves, which is market rate apartments, a nice, millennial crowd, students fresh out of college, looking to be in a center city area where they can work, live, play. And I think that's just starting out there. I think it's Jersey City 30 years ago.
Talk about work-life balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have 20 buildings. How many units are in those 20 buildings you have? Probably 30, 40, 50?
In the
give or
20
take?
buildings, there's 40 units.
So, okay, 40 units. So you have
Mhm.
40 tenants there, right? With the
Mhm.
management company, I get it.
Mhm.
You have a 40-unit development going on and a 22-unit development going on. And you have a full-time job,
Mhm.
right? How do you find time for your own personal self, taking care of yourself, your own
Yes.
well-being, having nice lunches and dinners,
Mhm.
right? Going to Dominican Republic, which I believe I saw a picture of you from recently. How do you manage to do all that and still maintain a peace of mind?
To be honest, Jeff, I've been grinding my butt off for the last 7 years. I did
Yep.
none of that stuff that you mentioned
Yep.
for the last 7 or 8
Yeah, I
years.
get it. Yeah.
Now I'm at a point where, I'm starting to, everything's starting to pay off and
Yep.
pan out that, if I want to go out on the weekend for a dinner or
You can.
go away for a week, I could do it, Not
So,
as much as I want.
I think that's so super important. So like yourself. So from me from being 20, so let's call it from 2000, end of 2007, early 2008, truthfully until about 2016 plus or minus, about 8 years, right? But really for the first 4 years, 9, 10,
Mhm.
11, and 12, right? Didn't take a day off, worked, killed myself, sacrificed going away with friends, sacrificed going on 2-3 day getaways,
Mhm.
whatever, dates with girls,
Mhm.
you name it,
Mhm.
anything I wanted to do. The only thing I did, truthfully, was play flag football on Thursday night for 3 years, and I only played 3 seasons because I didn't want to take my ass out in the cold, right? That's what I lived for, playing an hour of flag football in Brooklyn, right,
Mhm.
coming from the Bronx, and driving an hour there peaceful to unwind. Do you regret those sacrifices that you made? Do you feel like you missed out on anything?
Not one bit. Because to be honest, Jeff, it's what I love to do.
Well, you're getting better looking as time goes on, so it's going to benefit you, right?
I loved every minute of it. I love the struggle. You got to embrace it, and I think that's what builds greatness. So I just embraced it, and here I am now. And also too, the best part about it, Jeff, is me being in the position that I'm in. I'm fortunate enough to be able to help other people and put them on. To show them the way. Okay, you can do this, you can do that, and you can become successful in the same way that I did.
Do you think that's because you experienced the A to Z? Now talk about somebody who's handed something versus what you went through.
When you got to do it on your own, it's a struggle. You really appreciate it, and you learn the whole process. Let me see if I could think of an example. this is a perfect example. Let's say, you know, somebody inherits, you know, $1 million. They go and they got $1 million. They could buy any building they want.
Do they value it?
That's what I'm saying. How do they know how to value? How do they know if it's the right deal? They didn't earn that money. It was just and they don't know the market. I mean, when you have 50,000 that you worked pretty much your whole life and you saved up, I mean, you're gonna make damn sure it's
It means
the
everything to you.
right value. And also too, you can't go buy some crazy building. I mean, it's 50,000.
Right.
If you could buy a building
You're
for
limited.
50,000,
Yeah,
I mean,
take it.
you're in pretty
Take
good
it,
shape,
take it,
right?
Take it.
So.
So, local areas that are going to benefit from obviously Jersey City and Hoboken. Like, is this something where you say, "Hey, I like Newark," or "I like West New York," or "I like Weehawken," or "I like wherever"?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
What's next for you if Allentown, once Allentown becomes oversaturated, overbuilt, overdeveloped, in your sense, like there's only so much of Allentown, PA, do you then go to the outskirts of Allentown, PA, or do you find the next pocket somewhere in America like in Allentown, PA?
well, to be honest, Jeff, in Allentown, I'm concentrated. All my properties are concentrated in Center City
Okay.
and on the waterfront. The development I have going on, Riverview Lofts, the 22 unit, that's right on the
Oh,
waterfront.
beautiful.
So I see a lot of legs on the market in Allentown. I mean, it's just starting.
Yeah.
Development,
Still early.
the development really just started in like 2012, 13. And I mean, it takes 20 or 30 years to really build a city. Look at Jersey City, Hoboken. So I don't see that stopping anytime soon. As far as Jersey, I mean, I'm super focused on, you know, just Jersey City with all the work that we have there, all the jobs
Sure.
I'm running.
Sure.
I mean, basically, I'm running the day-to-days of the company, and I'm overseeing the construction site. So, I mean, it's just a full-time grind, and I'm just super focused, you know?
How many guys have you seen come and go? And obviously, you're only 30,
Mhm.
right? I say only you're 30 with the experience of a 60-year-old. Like I say, I'm 32, but I look like I'm 50 sometimes, you know,
Mhm.
depending on the day. How many guys have you seen come and go that want to be developers, that want to be real estate investors? And what do you think the main reason is that they turn over every second? Truthfully, they come and go like literally like pissing in the wind.
I mean, I think maybe just life gets in the way for them. Maybe, you know, they're not that focused on it. Maybe they're not that determined. When I started out, I mean, there was a few other, you know, guys, you know, buying buildings. To be honest, I'm sure they're probably still around, but, you know, I don't see them doing like larger projects like 22, you know, 30 unit buildings. I'm sure they're still doing what they're doing, but I mean, they're not, you know, building new buildings.
Let's target this to like the 18 to 22-year-old age range right now.
Mhm.
Male, female, doesn't matter. Someone who's 18 to 22 years old right now, whether you're just getting out of high school, in college, getting out of college, or just living on your parents' couch, how would you recommend them to get into real estate if by the time they are 30, they want to be you? What route would you take step by
I
step?
tell them stay at home for as long as they can, a few years.
I agree.
work 2 or 3 jobs,
Yep.
save up every penny, and then start researching, start looking at areas, you know, that you think you could afford, that's in your budget, and that you think would be, you know, a good place to make an investment, you know, that you believe in. That's what I'd recommend. And also I'd recommend, you know, talking to as many people as you can and, you know, asking questions, you know, because I always like to say, look, I don't know everything, you know. I know what I know, but I know what I don't know.
And I know someone that knows what you need to know.
Exactly. So if I don't know it, I'm going to make sure I
Right.
go out and
Right.
find that guy that knows. And that's been one of the keys to my success as well.
So they say in real estate, in order to succeed in development specifically,
Mhm.
right? Real estate in general, but really development, you have
Mhm.
to have a vision.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define vision based on execution and facts versus dreaming? Like I could walk down the street and say, "Hey, I want to build this 700, story tower," right? That's a dream. But the vision is, "Hey, I want to take these 4 rundown buildings and put up 50 units with a bowling alley underneath." You know what I mean? How do you separate those two between dreaming and reality in real estate?
You got to have balls and you got to have your word, man. You know, pretty much every time I do it, I lay my balls on the line. You know, if it's signing a construction loan with the bank,
Yeah, PG and everything, personal guarantee.
everything. I
Yep.
personally guarantee
Yep.
all my
I
stuff.
respect it.
Because I stand behind it and I
Yep.
know I'm going to deliver the product. But a lot of times that difference between a dream and reality is just having the wherewithal to, all right, I'm going to do this. Look, I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to be there every
One way or
day,
another.
every night, and I'm going to get it done. And I mean, I think that's what's propelled me to where I am today.
Interesting. So I know, like myself, you're a handshake guy. Like your
Mhm.
word means everything. And you handshake, like signing documents is just a formality.
It's only as good as the
Who
person
taught
behind
Who
them.
taught you that though? Truthfully,
being at Manhattan Building Company, I always heard, the owner of the company say that. He'd say, look, he said, Alex, and he said this to everybody in the room, because he always personally guarantees everything after
me
30
too.
years in the
Same
business. He'd
thing.
say, look, all these documents, anybody could sue you for any little reason.
Yep.
These documents, these signatures
Yep.
are only as good as the man or woman behind the
The ink.
paper
Yep.
signing it.
Yep.
And it's true, 100%.
How do you feel the industry goes as time goes on with affordable housing, right?
Mhm.
Because obviously affordable housing is the one of the number one issues
Mhm.
in our area.
Of course.
Affordable anything,
Of
but
course.
affordable housing. How do we solve that? And obviously Jersey City, but specifically Jersey alone, with taxes being so high, cost of living being so high,
Mhm.
how do we help the middle class, which
Of
is really
course.
like the poverty class now, because really you're either in today's day and age, you're either well off or well not off.
Mhm.
How do we handle those issues? Because obviously people need to work in Manhattan, they need to
Mhm.
raise their family, they need to
Mhm.
have a quality life, and many people are struggling with that. What's your solution?
I think builders, developers, need to work with city government and planning to find a solution that works for everybody. Okay, so let's say maybe you need us to set aside, I don't know, 10% workforce housing, some affordable. Okay, work with us on the density, some of the other requirements so we can make the numbers work. Me personally, I'd love to do as much as possible, but I got to make sure at the end of the day that the numbers work.
Yeah, you still have to make money.
So my recommendation would be, just builders, developers working hand in hand with city government and planning, that if affordable housing is something they want in that city, to make it feasible for the builder. Okay, we want you to set aside 10%, but we're willing to, work with you on density and requirements so your numbers still work and everybody could be happy. That's what I would say about that.
Interesting. Two main problems that you see in Hoboken right now, in Hoboken, New Jersey, and even Manhattan,
Mhm.
right, all over. I'm sure Jersey State a little bit, not as much. Homelessness
Mm-hmm.
and vacant retail storefronts. Now, because you have mixed-use buildings yourself,
Mhm.
right, you have experience in that, how do you combat homelessness and then vacant storefronts? I mean, those two issues are,
Right.
and it's going to be getting worse as time goes on, but what do you do to help that?
I mean, homelessness, I would say more that's, an issue with city government, stuff that, city government, local leaders, maybe get together, find out what's going on, offer more resources.
Do you think more homeless shelters, or
To be honest, Jeff, I don't know exactly what the solution is on that, but
because it affects all of us,
100%, but I would say
mentally or financially?
what I would say is, look, get the stakeholders to the table, find out the issues, and let's, come up with a solution.
I always say, like, being in mortgages, I put 1,000 people into homes, and every time I go to New York City, I see a couple hundred homeless people. Like,
I
how
see
do
it
you
all the
put
time,
great
too.
people in the homes, but then you have so many people without homes?
I mean,
You
look,
know,
it's been an issue. It's been around
ever,
forever.
and it will be forever. Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to solve it 100%, but what we can do is work to combat it and lessen it. So, like I said, get the stakeholders together, and find out what the issues are and find out the best way to solve them. As far as
Vacancies.
retail vacancies, I mean, I think a lot of everything's digital now. You got Amazons, you got everything online. So I think that the storefronts need to work to,
Are most landlords just unrealistic and not being like, hey, look, I was getting 6,000 a month now I can only get 4. I'm not getting anything less than 6,000. Meanwhile, they're losing 6,000 or 4,000 a month. Like, I see, like, they're obviously, we know small landlords are not always the sharpest tools in the shed, and they're usually greedy and they're not good business people. But at what point, after your vacancy's been vacant for so long, do you just say, okay, take 4,000 a month? Truthfully.
The numbers are what the numbers are. You got to listen to the market. I mean, if you're getting $0 a month for the speed, you're getting
Right.
zero, zero,
Right.
zero.
Half a zero,
I mean,
zero.
I'd take $4,000 or whatever.
Sure, still
over zero
48,000 a
any
year.
day. My advice would be to anybody with any empty spaces is look at the market, look at what the numbers
Be
are,
realistic.
and be realistic and cut a deal. I mean, you got a space sitting empty; it's not doing anybody any good.
How long do you personally leave a space marketed for vacant before you actually come down on your number?
It's a good question.
Realistic, on average,
A few months,
a couple months
you know.
before you're like, let's just get somebody, the right tenant in
Mhm.
there for the right price.
Yeah,
Now, do you do all your leases, or does your management company?
we do it in house.
You do. Your management company handles everything.
Yep.
How do you know when to give a tenant, a residential tenant that's
Mhm.
living in one of your apartments, certain breaks or certain credits or certain, hey, live for free, or hey, waive the security deposit?
That's a very good question.
How do you
Jeff.
make that determination?
So listen, I'm a gentleman. I'm a very easy guy to work with.
I
so
vouch for that.
with my tenants, I take it on a case by case basis. If I have a specific tenant, they say, Alex, look, I'm on hard times. I can't get you all the rent this month on the first, but I'll get you, you know, 200 every week or whatever. I say, okay, fine.
Same way. Yeah.
But they have to follow that. You know, if they're following that, I have no problem with that. You know, I have some tenants I've been working with. They've been with me, you know, 3-4 years now. It's the same thing every month, but I know the money's going to be there, and I know they'll honor their word.
Yep.
If I have somebody that, you know, says that, and they say, okay, we'll pay you this money on XYZ date, and it happens one time or maybe even 2 or 3 continuously, I'll say, look, you know, I tried the best I could, but this it just isn't going to work.
Not working out.
So I take it on a case-by-case basis.
How long before you start an eviction process?
Long before I start. Try to give them.
Say someone jerks you around 2, 3, 4 times, and you're like, all right, enough's enough now. A month. So you
Month and
you
change,
give them enough
maybe.
time to remedy the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Advice for people who want to switch careers
Mm-hmm.
from their 9-to-5 corporate job at 40 or 50 years old. Do you advise them to try and get into real estate this late in the game?
Listen, if you have dreams, you got to go follow your dreams, whatever is your age, because you got to be happy, right? My advice to them, to anybody, would be that wants to get started in this business, would be if you have a 9-to-5, keep the 9-to-5 on the side and use it as a resource. Because real estate, you know, you can pretty much do it at any time of the day. You can work from home, from the computer, wherever. Keep your 9-to-5, use that as a resource, and dip your feet in and get started.
Now, you're a buy and hold develop guy.
Mm-hmm.
You could have obviously started with fixing and flipping, right?
Mhm.
So when you only had $50,000, you bought your first property
Mhm.
for 50, put 20 into it, you
Mhm.
could have sold it for 150, made 80,000, take that 150,
Mhm.
buy 2 more, now you got 3 properties, right? Why did you not fix and flip in order to build up your stack?
I'm generational, brother. I mean, I'm thinking about the future, you know, when I have a family one day, you know, I'm generational. And also, too, you know, I want to really build the city up that I'm in. You know, I'm not in it for the short term. I'm in it for the long term. And in order to do that, you got to be able to hold on to your buildings and maintain them and just keep on working at it. So that's my always have a long-term mentality.
So you're 30 years old right now.
Mhm.
What currently, without your 62 units under development, how much rent are you bringing in every month on your 40 units?
You can do the math on that. Let's say, I don't know.
Average unit, how
rent,
much?
maybe between, let's say $1,000 a month.
So you're at 40,000 a month rent roll.
Yeah.
Less your
That's
expenses,
before expenses,
taxes,
you know.
insurance, repairs,
Exactly.
everything else. What would you recommend a good number for, say someone's bringing in $40,000 a month
Mhm.
for a landlord?
Mhm.
What should they target to net on that 40,000 from managing the properties themselves versus not managing themselves? Like, at what point does it become worth it? You know what I mean? And at what point does it become not worth it? If you're bringing in 40, but you're walking away every month net in your pocket 3-4 grand, that doesn't really seem worth it for all the
The
risk.
way I see it, Jeff,
Yeah.
if you can hold your buildings
Hold
and make money every month, it's a win. Because your buildings are your bank.
Sure.
And that's the way I always looked at
your
it.
buildings are your
We'll,
bank.
we'll go back to the hard money loans.
Yeah.
I mean, those buildings are the bank.
Sure.
I can come to you and say, hey, Jeff, you know, I want to do a loan for 150.
Need it tomorrow.
What
Done.
buildings are we going to put up as
Yep.
collateral? Okay, we'll do XYZ. They put the lien on the building. The money's there a week later. So as long as you're making money every month and you're able to hold your buildings, I mean, it's a win.
Did you think at age 20 you would be where you are today at age 30? Truthfully.
I didn't know where I was going to end up. I just knew I was going to keep doing it till I was successful. And I mean,
Have you ventured into anything else other than real estate or real estate development?
I ventured into anything.
Any other businesses, anything?
Pretty much always been a real estate guy ever since I bought my first building. What I will say is, in the first building, I ran a restaurant for a little bit. I had a little pizzeria shop on the first floor, and let me tell you,
You took it over, you opened it up yourself.
I opened it up. It was a Spanish
Is
restaurant.
that because you like pizza?
I like pizza, yeah. So it was a Spanish restaurant earlier with the previous owner,
Sure.
you know. And when he sold it to me, I renovated the whole place, beautiful, exposed brick, everything. So I opened up a pizzeria on the first floor, and let me tell you, Jeff, I found out personally, the retail food business is not for me.
Horrible.
Kudos,
Yeah.
hands off to anybody that does it. It is not easy. Pleasing the customers 24/7 and putting out, you know, quality
Flipping the
food.
dough.
And you got to be, you know, at the place 24/7. You know, the
Who's
restaurant
robbing
business.
you,
Yeah,
cash,
of course,
this, that.
I tried it, dipped my feet in it. Just wasn't worth it. And
You
at
learned
that-
at an early age, though. It wasn't for you.
Yeah, and at that point, I was able to, you know, successfully lease that space out
To a pizza place?
No, to a Spanish restaurant.
no, you
actually.
went back
That's
to the
still there today, Mi Casita Dulce. If you're in Allentown, by the way,
Yeah.
check them out on 5th and Gordon. They have the best Spanish food in the city.
Enchiladas?
Everything.
Oh, I love enchiladas with
Everything.
green sauce. It's like my jam. I order it all the
Anything
time.
and everything you could want.
Now, is Seamless, has technology gotten out there? Uber, Seamless, is that all in Allentown?
It's
or not
out
yet?
there. It's a little slower
Yeah,
than Jersey
yeah,
City, New York,
yeah.
and you know, LA or maybe something. But it's out there. Uber, Grubhub. It is. It is. And I think slowly but surely,
It's
the
gonna be
people are
evolving,
starting to use it more and
adapt.
more. Yep.
Interesting. What in Allentown is the driving force of the economy? Are people living out there again to retire, young? What's the community like? What's the commerce like?
I mean, before and now, it's been a lot of factory jobs. Amazon's big out there.
Like Hoboken was.
You have 7 colleges out there.
Wow.
Big college town. You have a lot of hospitals. But now, there's more tech jobs are coming there.
Cheaper.
Yeah, and as the office buildings are built and the new loft buildings are built, we're starting to get the kids fresh out of college, the millennials that
You
are
are
in
getting
tech.
them.
Yeah, it's happening. Slowly but surely, but it's happening now.
Interesting. So what's next for you? More
What's next
developments?
for me? Just keep on doing what I'm doing, Jeff. Just staying focused on the 22 unit, making sure that it's completed successfully on time and under budget. Moving forward to the next project after that, running the office here in Jersey City for Manhattan Building Company, making sure all the jobs are moving smoothly. Same thing on time and under budget. I mean that's my main focus.
What is the number one thing you want listeners to take away from all your knowledge, all your experience, all 30 years, 360 months, which usually people take out a 30-year mortgage? You, if you were born, would have just paid your 360th payment. What would you want them to take away from this interview?
Chase your dreams and your goals, and don't ever let anybody tell you can't do something. Because I had people, tell me, "Oh, you're crazy, blah blah blah. This area is no good."
Why are you doing that?
And they were probably just telling me that because they probably couldn't do it themselves, or they didn't have the wherewithal to do it. So my advice out there to everybody listening would be: chase your dreams and your goals. Get as much information as possible. Be as educated as possible. And if you want something, just go for it.
I think that's super awesome. Now, one of my very, very good friends, hedge fund guy, he'll be actually one of our next guests, says ignore the crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, when I started in business, I was super young, just like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The average person that is succeeding in our respective industries is probably 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years older than us.
Mm-hmm.
How do you determine who's the crowd? And how do you determine who's actually looking out for your best interest?
I mean,
There's a lot of chatter out there.
when I meet somebody and I talk to them, I can usually see somebody right away. Okay,
Instantly.
hey, he thinks the same way I am. He's a player. He knows the business. I can usually spot it. I can usually sniff it out right away.
Do you ever override someone you respect's decision?
Look,
Hey, Alex, don't do this, do this. And you're like, no, I'm going to do what I do because I believe in this vision. How do you figure that out?
the way I do it, Jeff, is I have people that work for me. I'll always take their advice. I'll filter it and I'll say, hey, this is a great idea, and I'll take it under consideration, and I'll take that in with what I want to do, and ultimately, it's my decision at the end of the day. But I always make sure to listen to the people around me, so when I execute my decision, I know what to watch for, and know what to, how to execute it. Because a lot of times the people around me, they might not see the whole bigger picture that I see, but
only
they
know
see,
that portion of it.
but they see little details that I might not see because I'm a visionary.
You're overlooking
I'm
everything.
seeing the big picture,
Yep.
controlling everything.
Yep.
So I always make sure to listen to the people around me. And, when I make my decision, I tell them, look, guys, this is the way I'm going to go. Thank you for your advice. I'm always super respectful. And, that's the way I operate. I make the decision, but I always make sure to listen and take the advice of the people around me, because all those opinions matter. And they're there in the trenches with me every day, day in and day out. So I value their opinion 100%.
Do you think people should go to a Home Depot and try and make the repairs themselves? Or do you think they should hire professionals, truthfully?
I think people are limited to what their options are. So meaning when I started my first building, I didn't have money to go out and hire
Right.
a fancy contractor. I would hire somebody by the day, or I'd go to Home Depot. I'd probably get the materials and then just pay him, for the labor. I mean, you're limited to what your options are at that point. Now, I'm putting up a 22-unit building right there on the waterfront. Knock on wood, I'm at the point where I can personally guarantee a, construction loan, and we could do everything,
Sure.
with the best contractors, everything.
High-end quality.
Exactly, but I mean, that might not be possible for everybody based on where they're at. So my advice, to everybody would be, look at your options and make the best decision based on your circumstances. But always, strive for better and always look for the best, route possible.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Wright, 30 years old, 20 individual buildings and 2 development sites totaling 62 units coming up by the end of 2020. Super excited for having you on here. I hope everyone listens. And what's your Instagram so everyone can follow you now that you're new to Instagram?
Instagram's AXRight1.
He ain't Mr. Right. He's Mr. Right now. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Jeff.